Big and heavy. Good evening. Thank you for coming. I am very humbled to be here because the women who are in the Women's Hall of Fame are my heroes. So to be among them is an unbelievable honor, and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for a wide variety of experiences, not the least of which was I came from a really happy, joyful home. And what that gave me was the opportunity to be secure, to be well educated, to not worry about where my next meal was coming from, and above all, my parents taught me to be curious, and they kept pushing all the kids in my family, I'm one of 5, to know their own mind and to be able to articulate why you believe something. So the notion of having values as the basis for what you're doing, I learned at my dining room table at my home. That is a skill and an opportunity that we wish to have for every kid in this community and in this state. And if you know kids or families where that doesn't happen, we have the opportunity to step up and help. We have the opportunity to strengthen kids and to make sure that they're feeling secure enough to be able to experience life. In my life, I had a fabulous education. I had great teachers. I had great teachers whether they were in the classroom or in the community. And to that extent, I'd say we have the opportunity to be that to the young people in our community. I also have had an unbelievably good, long luck at fabulous jobs in Alaska. I have had the opportunity, most of the time, a little bit like Eleanor, I was way too young to be doing whatever it was I was doing. It was only last year, for the first time in my life, that somebody said I was too old to do something. I went, what? And what I was exploring was, as I'm approaching retirement time, I was thinking, well, maybe I should go join the service of the United States to be working overseas. And they said I was too old. I've never been really on time as far as that's concerned. When I first got out of school, I had the opportunity to work in something called the Model Cities program, which was part of the War on Poverty. And it turns out that that was pretty important because the rules, the law of the Model Cities was to create maximum feasible citizen participation in communities, particularly for disadvantaged people who didn't have a voice at all. I was very young when I learned that piece, and it stuck with me forever. I have had the opportunity to create opportunities for people to come together and express their values and try to influence public policy in a variety of ways. But the most fabulous has been the opportunity to do that in Alaska. When I was a kid, I got hired, first of all, by wonderful people who took a risk. Jack Roderick took a risk on hiring me to work for the Greater Anchorage Area Borough before unification. Susan Ruddy took a risk on being a friend of the new girl who was working down in the planning department. People cared and risked hiring a young person. The same was true when I had the opportunity to work for the state government, and Fran Ulmer was my boss. We were both kids then, but she was the boss. And they took the opportunity to let a whole band of kids go around the state of Alaska and ask people what was important to them about their government. I also had the chance to work for a Native organization, the Alaska Federation of Natives, and the Alaska Native Foundation. That's really where my education about Alaska started. I had the opportunity to be in villages in the 1970s across the state, and I learned from little old Yupik ladies drinking tea in their kitchens about what it's like to be living on your homeland. There are Native corporations that have the banner that says, doing business in Alaska for 10,000 years. What that means is that's home. And those people have been generous to share their home with us. I also had the opportunity to learn about Alaska resources, and I learned from many people. I learned from wonderful people in public life. Again, when I was way too young to be doing it, I ran for the Charter Commission, and had the opportunity to help create the municipality of Anchorage. But again, the point of that was Arla Sturgeluski was my teacher. Frank Reed was my teacher. These were the people who created this idea of how we create the structure of a government. I also had the opportunity to serve on the Assembly, and again, Lydia Selcraig was my teacher. These women made a big difference in my life, and I'm grateful. I also had the opportunity to work with the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and there a woman named Lydia Hayes was a person who had some vision, or I should say, she and Roy Hondorf had a vision, and Lydia did all the work to make it happen, and I got to work for Lydia. So I'd say that what happened is we came together to bring people together. And finally, when I had the opportunity to work for the Department of Natural Resources, it was Marty Rutherford who was my teacher about everything having to do with oil and gas in Alaska. I had the opportunity also to work in community service, and I've learned everything about giving back from the people who taught me through Awake or STAR, or above all, from the Girl Scouts of Alaska. Girl Scout cookies go on sale next month. Get out there. We build girls of courage, character, and confidence, and you have the ability to invest in them. Thank you to the Girl Scouts who are working with us tonight. Finally, I want to say that I am grateful for friends. I am grateful for friends who have helped and supported me at all times in my life, but particularly when it's been challenging. And I am very grateful to friends in many communities across the state. My friends took a risk, and they have helped me greatly. But most of all, I have to say thank you to Vic Fisher. We've been married for 33 years now, and he is absolutely my partner in crime. And when we have a daughter who is 30, and when she was in grade school, Vic had a very flexible schedule, so he was the person who went on the school workshops. He's the one who was in the classroom. He was the first grade mom, and the other moms thought he was the oddest mom of all. But Ruthie always thought this was my mom, except it was my dad. And so all I can say is that Vic has supported me, Vic has led me, he has been by my side. He raised money for campaigns. Whenever I said, what do you think if we go to Australia? And he went, okay. And he'd say, well, what do you think if we go to Russia for a while? And I said, okay. But most of all, I want to say that he has been not only important to Alaska, but he's been really important to our family, our life, and my community. If I have the ability to be able to do anything in this world, it's because this guy's been standing by my side, holding me up for a long time. Thank you very much.